Welcome, my viewers. Today, my name is Flora Cheptum Buzu, and today I want to discuss about my early childhood and how I acquired disability. I want to let you know that I was born a normal child. My parents tell me because I didn't know when these things happened. I just found myself disabled. So my children tells me, my parents tells me that I was born a very normal child. And even at the age of 3, when I had just begun walking and enjoying walking like any other children, polio attacked me and crippled me. My parents then lived in Maasai land, a place called Kilgoris. Those days, there were no hospitals around, and they even didn't understand what was happening with me. And so they did all they could. They used traditional herbs. They did some cutting some parts of my body and putting some medication. They tried their best to save my situation, but it was in vain. The disease had already done a lot of damage on my body. So at the age of 5, that's when I discovered myself. And what makes me to discover myself is the kind of the environment that I grew up in. I discovered that there was a lot of hostility around my home. I found everyone was hostile to me. There was no even love, and I was able to discover myself. I was able to know that these people are not. I'm not a welcome person. And I discovered that it was because of disability that these people were treating me the way they treated me. Now, this is my family. This is my family in Maasai land. Families live in one place. They build houses. Like brothers can build houses just within the same place for security purposes. As you know, Maasai land was in animals like lions, like elephants, like all sorts of animals. And for families to stay secure, not to be attacked by animals, so they used to stay together. So my dad and his brother and his two my dad and his brother lived in the same place. Both of them had 2 wives. So they build a house here, another one builds here, another one builds here. So I had all my family around me. And one thing I discovered is that I came to discover that my disability was not welcome. Is the way they treated me. Because I could try to play around with the children, and I found myself so lonely. I was not allowed to play with the other children. As as a child, I could not move around because I was walking on my knees. I was crawling. So it wasn't a very good place. It wasn't good for me. So one thing that made me to discover that I was disabled and that I was different from these others is one time I was treated differently. I wanted to play with the children. I wanted to go around with the rest of the children. But I was denied to go to play around with the children. I was literally chased by some of the bigger girls. And I could stay a lonely life. So there was an incident one time when I wanted to follow them to wherever they were going. And I forgot that they didn't want me, so I just wanted to follow them. And I was told, Flora, go back. So in the homestead, I used to be alone in the whole that homestead because the grown-ups used to go to work in the farms, or some of them would be going to the market for other things to do. So these children, the older children would just go out and play somewhere far away from me. And they would leave me in the compound with nobody. So for so many days, I would just stay like that. I didn't have anybody around me. Most of the time, I would just stay alone. Lucky enough, those days, there were no, people used to respect children. And like today, you are left alone in the homestead. You are prone to be attacked by those who can rape, who can do all those things. We didn't have such things. So I was lucky because we didn't have such people during those days. So, so I remember sitting and I felt so bitter. I felt so bitter. I had a piece of stick in my hand, and there was a puppy that came to play around with me because I think the puppy noticed that I was lonely. So the puppy comes around, and a baby of a dog plays around, tries to play around with me. And because I was so bitter, I hit it so hard. I hit it so hard that something went wrong, that the tongue came out and it was hanging. And I didn't know. I was so scared. So when they came back from farm, from wherever, they found the tongue of the dog was hanging. And of course, they knew there was nobody else who stayed at home alone. So it was me. And I was beaten thoroughly because of that dog. So as I told you, I was beaten thoroughly because of injuring the dog. And my dad believed the stories of these people because, of course, he was the authority in the homestead. So meanwhile, the children had gone for an adventure. Of course, I was left at home, and I didn't know what was going on there. So evening comes, and everyone goes to their own houses. I went to my mother's place, and of course, because of the day playing around and sitting, I was overtaken by sleep when my mom was cooking ugali. I just slept just near the fireplace. Something happened. I was woken up by some noise. Because I was in deep sleep, it took me time to wake up and understand what was going on. But when after some time, after waking up, I found myself, I was held seated. My dad was holding a knife on his hand, and he was shouting, why did you hurt your sister? Kwa nini ulivunja mkono dada yako? And I was shocked. Wapi? What did I do? And so my dad he didn't want to hear anything. So he just landed on me properly and beat me and beat me until I was asking for forgiveness for the things that I didn't do. Listen, nisamee, nisamee, nisamee. For him to leave me at least. So after that, dad left, and I was left wondering. Those are some of the things that really, young as I was, it has been recorded in my, it was recorded in my mind. And it permanently there, I could remember. And it really, for a long time, those lies really haunted me. That's another thing I discovered, that these people, no, hakuna mtu ananipenda kwa hii homestead. Dad also believes in what he has not hakujua ilifanyika kweli ama he didn't want even to listen to my side of my story. So I found myself suffering. And later on, of course, I discovered everyone hates me in this homestead. And they could, maybe there was some way of looking for getting rid of me. Another issue is my mom didn't say anything. I used to wonder, why is she not protecting me? Why is she not saying anything? Or even to tell dad to stop beating me. Later on, I was discovering kumbe, mom could be going through a lot of trauma also, because she has given birth to a child that is lame. And maybe she's also having the same hate share that I was having. And because women those days, they never had sauti. They will not say anything in front of their husbands. So my mom just kept quiet, and I was beaten just like that. So I want to say this. What I'm sharing is what is going on in so many other homesteads in our villages today. I've just, if they can be given an opportunity to speak, to share what they are going through, you will be shocked. I want to ask the parents of these children, wherever they are, if you're listening to me, just show love to those children. I want to tell the parents to protect their children against those who hate them because of disability. Love them. Show them a little bit of some love. Me, I never had this love. Sikuona. Mi niliishi maisha ya kipekee. And I want to ask you parents. These people have feelings. Hii watoto wako na feelings. Unaona, mi nakumbuka tangu miaka 5. Ninakumbuka yale yote ambayo nilifanyiwa. But the good thing is this. I forgave them. I forgave them. Life continues. Although I continued with the same rejections, but I forgave them because God forgave me. Parents, I'm sharing real stories that is happening in our homes. There is a lot of silence. They cannot talk. If they are given an opportunity to speak, they will tell you lots of things. Like there's another incident. It happened during the same time. As I told you, our homestead was full of different houses. It was like a Manyatta type of homestead. So, as children, of course, you have to move around. You have to go to this house. Children were moving hapa na pale. Curiosity. And of course, children, there's nothing you can stop from children. So I used to move around, and I could go visiting these houses. Like sometime I would go to some of these houses of my relatives. So one day I was chased. I was told to go. Immediately the lady saw me coming, crawling. Akanifukuza, akaniambia, enda, usikuja hapa. So I left. So the following day, of course, as a child, I forgot that I was chased away. I found myself again going to the same house. And this time I was really chased properly. Taka, enda. Niliitwa taka. So I left, but with so much questions on my little brain. Nilikuwa najiuliza, hii manyumba iko na nini ndani? Kwani imejengwa na dhahabu ama imewekwa nini? So I was asking myself those questions, but I didn't have anybody to answer me. That was some of the incidences. I used not to go to those houses. I didn't know how they looked like. And if there was an opportunity, pengine once in a blue moon, I sneak in before they could see me, najikuta tu nikiplay na watoto. Lakini, the environment was so hostile to me, I wasn't comfortable. So, hapa ndio niligundua ya kwamba I'm not welcome. I have many enemies here. I didn't experience any love in this compound. Sina upendo, there was no love. There was no. The only person whom I used to run, penye tu mama yangu ako, naenda tu kwa sababu hiyo ni mama yangu. But I want to thank God for my mom because she loved me, hata kama nilichukiwa na kila mtu, but she loved me. Though she was helpless to protect me because of the hostility that was around me, around us. My dear viewers, my story is quite long. This is just part one. I've just begun from when I was 5, and because of such an exposure to bullying, to being tortured, my brain became so wide. I was able to know, and whatever I went through stuck in my mind. So I want to request you I'll continue in part 2 about this story. I have a lot to tell you and to share. I would request that you subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can be able to continue to get to continue getting more stories from me. I love you guys. May God bless you.